Okay, so hello, good afternoon. Um, hope you are good.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for inviting me for a chat. Hope you're fine as well. How are you doing?
Good.
Awesome.
Okay, so for the first question is, when did you start learning coding around and game development?
Yeah, so I started game development when I was like I think 12 years old, and I used to make little paper games, and then one day my dad introduced me to a program called Game Maker so I could make digital games because I was clearly interested in that. I played a lot of video games, and that's how I got into it. Never stopped making games ever since. Was a little bit of a bumpy road for sure. For a while, I wanted to become a filmmaker, and now I'm back to making games. I guess I'm doing both, right? Because I have a YouTube channel as well. So I'm making videos and indie games. What about you? Like, how has your game development journey looked like so far?
For now, I just started like I started like two years ago, but I didn't go anywhere. Then I stopped last year in September when where we had to stay quarantine a lot. I restarted using Unity, and I got so happy when I learned how to put my picture inside the scene view. But then, unfortunately, the next day my computer had a blue screen, and then I had to start again in January.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, game development is basically 90% problem solving, right? It never works. Nothing works on the first try.
Hmm.
There's always something that breaks, and yeah, fixing stuff is basically your main job when making games. Okay, cool. So,
During
sorry,
yes.
I wanted to ask one more question. But like, what are your plans for the future? Do you want to keep doing game development like as a hobby, or can you imagine doing it as a job, or do you have some plans for that already, or any ideas where you want to
I'm
go?
going to, for now, I'm trying to make it as my job for now. Maybe I get interested in something else. And also, what I was going to say was, I remember this Dar game jam when it was my first one. I started getting stressed, and Unity crashed twice while I was building the game. And I was like rushing it, like telling it like stop crashing, but it continues crashing.
Yeah, such an emotional journey making indie games, especially in game jams.
And and for that game jam, I was trying to make it for the compo version, and I had to go to sleep because the next day I had to go to school, but it took me like till 9 o'clock just for the web page to for the web GL version to finish. But then I finished it. And then I forgot to hit the public button, so the next day I had to release it for real then, because I had forgot to make it public. It was just private.
So did it still count as a submission to the jam, or?
No, yeah, it still counted because I had added everything, but people couldn't play it.
Ah,
They
okay.
just couldn't. For the second question, what types of games did you make at the beginning of learning coding?
Whew, I made very simple games, basically. Little top-down adventures where you move around with a little character, and then you have a punch button to just punch the enemies in front of you. Or my very first game was called Apple Cannon, where you had a bunch of apples on one side, and when you clicked on an apple, it started moving to the left, and you had to try to hit the enemies on the side with with your apples before you run out of apples. So
Mm-hmm.
very very simple stuff I made at the beginning. I mean, I was fairly young when I started, so definitely nothing complicated at all.
Hmm. For the next question, what was your favorite game like around the beginning time?
So my favorite game at the beginning time. like a game I made. I would say there was one game called Pink Fishy, where you're a tiny pink fish and you swim in the ocean, and there are a bunch of warships dropping mines and submarines and zeppelins.
So it's
And
less like a dodging game.
not quite. Yeah, it's also a dodging game, but also the pink fish is extremely overpowered, and you can jump out of the water, and basically everything you touch instantly explodes and is
And
scattered
by
into pieces.
explodes with particles or explodes, just disappears.
It was in a somewhat had some procedural animations basically. So if you rammed into a ship from the bottom, the ship was catapulted in the air, and then basically the shipwreck just sank to the bottom of the ocean. So it was fairly satisfying to control. So that was definitely one of my most favorite games I made early on, I would say.
Okay, and so for now, it's going to go into the game jam section. Did you do you enjoy joining game jams?
Yeah, game jams are always a nice learning experience, and it's also a nice opportunity for me to team up with some of my old friends. For example, Yen, who I used to go to game school with. Yeah, sometimes we're not really in touch a lot in our day-to-day life. So I find it very nice to team up with him every now and then, and to at the least make a little game jam game with him here and there.
Recently, recently for Mother's Day, we made a game together. He made the art, music, and writing for the game, and I did the coding. I did some art and the animations. I made a cool heart transition.
Yeah, that's cool. So what's your opinion on working in a team then? I mean, sounds like you've experienced both as well, right? Working on a game alone, working on a game in a team. Like, what would you say? Do you like more?
Like working solo, it like working in a group and working in solo. They both have their pros and cons. Like working in a team, you get work finished done, but then like it can sometimes be difficult to like communicate, because if you're in a kind of bad team, they might like people someone makes a bad idea, but they don't understand that it's a bad idea, and you need to stay like trying to give them why it's a bad idea. Like I'm working on a kind of big game with some friends, and I wanted to turn a small just a piece of the game into its own boss fight into its own boss fight with 3 stages of fighting. Just to get just and the game, you know what, that would give you just a key to open the door in the beginning of that chapter.
Okay. Yeah, and I think you're making a very interesting point there, because that's something I've noticed as well, is that when working on a team, there's a lot more arguing, there's a lot more back and forth, right? And the thing is, it's not always the other ones with the bad ideas. Sometimes it's also you, and then the other ones have to convince you that your idea is garbage. So usually,
It's a mixture of everything.
yeah. So usually, what ends up happening when working in a team is that the games you make are usually a lot more safe, right? Because if you come up with a crazy experimental idea, the chances are very high that someone in your team is gonna say, that will not work. We cannot do that." And then you end up going for a way safer and oftentimes also more boring approach. So that's kind of the disadvantage, right? That the innovation is harder to do in a team because of that, exactly because of those discussions. But when you work alone, on the other hand, you make a lot of mistakes that maybe your teammates would have warned you about. So it comes with pros and cons. It's definitely an interesting balance for sure. Yeah.
Funnily enough, the next question is, what do you say about joining in a team for game jams?
Depends on what you prefer. Some people prefer joining alone. Some people prefer joining in a team. I think I prefer joining in a team because I'm already working so much alone on Will You Snail. So working in a team is a nice, it's nice. It switches it up for me a little bit. Maybe if I was making a game in a team, maybe it would be different. I'm not sure. So yeah, always depends on the person. One thing I would say is that your chances of scoring a good place in the jam definitely increases when working in a team. Like having a good team, no matter if for game jams or for commercial game projects, having a good team always improves your chances of success. Definitely.
And also with game jams, like with their big scoring, people can increase their self-esteem, but like sometimes people like you're like in a game jam like Ludum Dare and you get like around 800, like, and you like start feeling discouraged, but really that's a good improvement because there are like 1,000 people joining there. You had beaten 200 of them to get there. Like I remember from when I joined this one, I um I got happy because like I knew Ludum Dare was a big game jam. I got around 800s in everything except humor. I got 200 in the 200 area, close to 100, and I was really happy.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. You mean top 200 out of audience,
Yes,
or
like in the 200s plus, like 236 around that.
yeah, that's pretty good actually. For considering the fact that you've not been making games for that long, those are very very decent results. I think. Yeah, that looks promising.
Um, so have you hosted any game jams?
Yes, I've hosted 3 game jams: Wowie Jam 2, and Wowie Jam 3. Every jam I hosted was a little bigger than the one before, and obviously the reason why that was possible for me was because of my YouTube community. Without that, I probably wouldn't have bothered hosting game jams. But as I have a YouTube channel about game development, I think it's a nice, it's a nice community activity for for us that we can engage in at least once a year. For me, the main purpose of that is really getting in touch with my community a little bit, because I sometimes don't have that much time for doing that during the year when I'm busy working on games and making videos. Yeah.
Like I was a bit sad because I was going to join the Wowie Jam 3, but exactly on that day, someone had to do the one thing you should never do to a game developer: get his plans and tear them up. We had a piece of paper for a whole chapter that we were discussing that time. And someone just decided that it would be the best idea to grab the paper and tear it up in the middle. And then I got so annoyed that I ended up having to leave the Wowie Jam because I got a bit sad. I need to quickly go. I'm soon coming back.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, I am back.
Okay, perfect.
So for the next question is did you have fun hosting them?
Yes, it's quite exhausting because it's a lot of work, but in general, I like doing it. I think as long as I don't do it too often, it will stay fun. Like, what I like about game development is that it provides me with a lot of different challenges, and hosting game jams is yet another challenge to master. So I like that, but I don't want to do it too often.
Mm-hmm. And what was your favorite game of this year's jam?
It was the boxing game, I think my personal favorite, and I think it ended up on third place or something like that. It's called Down in the Fifth Round, and I think it was very innovative and it worked out very well. Like, the developer took a pretty big risk, I would say, with the game idea, but it definitely worked out. It's a very simple boxing game, but it just gives you different objectives in each round. For example, in one round, you get points for being hit, in the other round, you get points for punching. And it has a lot of tension because you're not allowed to knock your opponent out. If you knock your opponent out, you lose. And if you get knocked out, you lose as well. And so nobody's allowed to get knocked out, and there are different objectives basically you have to play around. And I found that very, very interesting. So that was my personal favorite.
Oh, so after when beating, so yeah, to finish all the tasks, and there would be a timer, or just finishing all the tasks and then next round.
So every round has a fixed length, I think. Something like maybe 90 seconds, 60 seconds, something like that. And then it was simply score based. So, for example, in the first round, you get 50 points for punching, and you get minus 200 points for being hit. And then in the second round, you get points for completely different stuff. In the second round, maybe you get points for taking punches to your face or something like that. And that made it feel like every round was completely different. And then in the end, it's just a question: did you manage to collect enough points? And I think in the very last round, the developer did something pretty smart as well. Because the goal in the last round is to get knocked out, but you get bonus points if it's a very close match. So basically, you're trying to make it interesting for the viewers of the boxing match. And your goal is to make the match very close and then get knocked out at the end.
And probably that round was the fifth round, saying by the title.
Down in
Like
exactly, yeah.
because my idea was going to be you're in a carnival and you're trying to impress this girl, so you're trying to win all the carnival games and you only have like 5 tickets, but the twist was you had to lose, because like if you were just like hitting them all, beating all the games instantly and getting the toy, like one is there were going to be like 3 mini games, so 3 endings. 1, it's okay. 2, she's happy. 3, it's too much. So like, because like from 1 and 2 it's like the good ending, and then just the 3 is the bad ending. Like you're trying to be a show off.
Okay, that's actually pretty funny and smart. I like that idea a lot, yeah.
And also 0 was going to be a bad ending. Like you're trying to impress someone.
Yeah.
At least get to like
yeah, that's very interesting. That's very interesting, especially if you I wonder how you would balance that. Maybe you would balance it in a way where it's extremely easy to win and losing is almost a hard thing to do, like something like that. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Now it's going to go on the Will You Snail
Yeah.
questions. How long have you been working on Will You Snail?
Pretty much almost since my YouTube channel exists. I think I started working on Will You Snail 3 months or something like that after making my YouTube channel. So that should be over 3 years now. Pretty crazy. Over three. Is that really true? Over 3 years?
From misreading your
Yeah.
video from March 24th to May 25th. Um, and that's why last 2 months ago I made the Will You Snail Happy Third Birthday. Then I had to rename it to Happy Late Birthday. Because like I had read it like and I was like happy, yes, I can make a Will You Snail related video. And then when I was telling people that tomorrow's the premiere, like Armaxon told me like first it's one day, and then she told me like it's 1 month ago. It's been 1 month ago, and she said that. And then I went quickly like changing the name to Late Burn, just adding a quick capital Late in the title.
Okay, have I seen that video already? I'm sorry, you gotta help my brain out there.
I think so because I had also sent it for the editor when you asked for the editor, so you might have seen
Okay,
it.
yeah, then I've probably seen it. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
also, I put a bunch of memes so you can see some of the memes because there's a whole section of the meme pictures.
Okay. I think I vaguely remember that video now. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And then at the very last bit, I started getting out of idea, so I just decided, let's take this part, remove his green screen, and adding 10 more of him. And it worked out before I muted all I was hearing is just a bunch of you talking all at the same time.
Okay, maybe I need to check that back out again because I can't remember that section. Did that make it into the finished video?
Yes, it made it, but
Okay.
then I removed, I muted all of them except one, so you can
Okay.
hear the voice sing. And then also in the background there was the infinite bathroom video, and you can hear the background music behind. It was fun working on the video.
Yeah, thanks for making it. Appreciate it.
Have you had fun working on Will You Snail?
Yeah, I like making games, especially Will You Snail. I like it a lot. I fell in love with the idea of the evil AI that predicts your movement and spawns traps in real time in order to stop you from finishing the level. And then I also wrote a bunch of philosophical story stuff around it, and I really like it.
Half of the storyline I still don't understand it.
You're in the playtest group as well, right?
And I think there is a small bug because I have one piece of the storyline logged, and I just have that left, and I would have all the storyline pieces.
Yeah, some of them are very hard to find. I think they're all you can find all of them, but some of them are very hard to find.
I'm trying to be like super, like trying not to spoil anything, like just saying like just like all the storyline, just a piece. And also the hats are pretty cool. I even tried to squish one at the ceiling.
Yeah, that doesn't work yet. Yeah.
Just wearing a hat, you go up on the down, it squishes. Tough luck, you broke it. And by the way, by mistake, I spoke Maltese. That means tough luck.
Okay.
Like just that tough luck. For the next question, did you ever want to stop working on Will Snare? Just got bored of working on it?
Hmm. I mean, that is sort of a typical process for most indie game developers where they have this shiny object syndrome. You start working on a game, that then you slowly start losing motivation. You get a new idea, and then you want to work on that new idea instead. I feel like I went through that process of restarting new projects so many times that I'm kind of sick of it. So
Just sticking with Will Snail.
there were times where I wanted to, where I didn't want to work on the game. Like there are always those times where you lack motivation. But in general, I didn't have the urge to leave Will You Snail behind and start something new. I definitely knew that I wanted to finish the game, and obviously having a YouTube channel helps with that as well, because basically I can't, like, that would be silly if I upload a video saying, "Oh, by the way, I'm not working on Will You Snail anymore. I have a new game now." Everybody would be like, "What the hell?" So I can't do that anyway. So
111 videos goes down the drain.
yeah, exactly.
And like I've been watching them, and there's one feature you promised us and you still haven't added it. In the boss fight, if something goes wrong, your save file gets deleted. I remember you had said that, like,
that was one of the early ideas for the Rage game version. So basically, at the beginning, I almost wanted to make a completely different game. At the beginning, it was very much Rage game oriented. Not so much anymore now. Now I'm trying to open it up for more players. So I added difficulty settings, for example. That was not the plan either when I had the idea with the with deleting the save file. But for the Rage game version, that would have been great, right? You play through that really hard, challenging game, and then before the final boss fight, you're being told, "Here comes the final boss fight, and if you lose, you have to do everything all over again." I thought that could have been a funny moment for the Rage game, but it doesn't really fit the current design philosophy anymore, so you won't see that in the game, unfortunately.
And me, I would just have like the on the first try of the boss fight, I would like just have stopped, deleted Will You Snail, removed it from my library, and I don't want to see it ever again. That.
Yeah, it would have been very frustrating. True.
And also, from like in Will You Snail, there's just one small bit that frustrated me a bit. When Squid dies, like when Squid in the final boss fight, the final version,
Spoiler warning,
like
by the way.
at the very end, like the music starts rushing so fast. So then, like, I start rushing, then I keep on like dying, and then I just start getting frustrated, just like almost beating him, like being like just 10% there, and then just dying like from a spike.
Yeah, some of that Rage game identity is still in there, and I'm also not sure if I'll be able to get rid of that completely. I mean, it's the final boss fight. I can't make it too easy either.
No, but like how it is, it's just it's good, like with the sense of platformer Rage game combined. It's a good combination of the two of them.
Yeah, I think I struggled with the identity of the game for a while, but I think the best solution is just to accept it as what it is right now, and right now it's exactly what you said, that combination of a little bit of Rage game, but it's also a relatively accessible Rage game, so you don't need super crazy platformer skills to complete it either due to difficulty settings.
Like very easy is good for people that are starting, because when I had started playing it with the automatic difficulty, it chose no, not very easy. The one before easy, I forgot what it's called. It was really good. I beat the whole game. There were those challenging bits, and also probably half of the people playing when you release it are going to be angry at one bit. The
Definitely. Yeah, I mean,
levels,
they will be frustrated somewhere. I can,
and
I
but
can, like, Mhm.
there's a bit where everyone who was not a beta tester will really get annoyed when um there's a level on with the spikes that it's exactly like of the winter demo, but in the winter demo you can go through the spikes, you can touch them. They kept on then like saying like, wait, did I touch the top? Did I like like that?
Mhm.
And I got confused. So how half of the people are just learning playing the demo, they might get confused at that part. So
Yeah, true. Because in the demo, I got the feedback that people didn't understand they can go through the spikes. So now I changed it for the final game, and so now the people who played the demo will be confused the other way around, why they can't go through them anymore.
mm,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but
um
I hope the
mhm.
majority, or I think the majority of people buying the Steam version probably haven't played the demo. We'll see.
And also like just you die once by going through it, and then you know he changed it that you can go on top of it. For the next question is, do you have fun when you see the translators and beta testers working and getting progress?
Yeah, I find it completely mind blowing that basically I got so much support from my community with translations and playtesting that is absolutely crazy and insane. Like the amount of languages they translated the game in, the amount of translations they've done already. The only thing I wish I would have done earlier on is having every translator sign a proper contract that states very clearly what I'm allowed to do with the translations, etc., etc. I feel like I was very upfront with the fact that I can't pay them. But mistakes have been made, I guess. Yeah, so now I think we'll be able to use the translations, but it's just not 100% optimal. I'll have to see what I do about that. Yeah, but
Like translating it in Maltese, it's fun. On my personal document, I'm around 400, but inside low the sheet for the game, I'm still at 1,150, because like before I release them, I'm checking them, so I have a clear chance of having my deadline produced by 2 days instead of sending it on July 7th to July 9th, because I do my own I do my own proofreading, because like I want. And also we're going to try, once I finish them all, we're going to be playing the game, trying to get everything, trying to get all the voice lines, to see like, oh, this doesn't work here, because like a word can have multiple meanings in different situations.
Yeah, that would be very cool and useful if you do that, especially for playtesting purposes as well. Honestly, because I'm not even sure if it's possible to trigger all of the voice lines. And I'm sure if you do that, we'll find a couple of voice lines that can't be triggered or something like that. So sounds very useful. Cool. Yeah, I really appreciate that you're putting so much work in the translations. I'm really mind blown, and I'm not really sure how to even thank you for that. So thank you. Appreciate it a ton. Which
And
language are you translating for again?
Maltese.
Maltese.
And also You should like ask like if all the languages by the deadline are at 100%, maybe see like you increase a bit the deadline just to check the language inside the game, so like everyone has chance to do perfect checking, because like if they're going to be playing the game, if someone is going to be playing the game and like joining and going on to the Maltese section, they're going to start get a bit confused when like they see like maybe like haha you died, when really just like a metaphor of saying you died, so I had to change the word.
Mm-hmm.
Like you thought it was going you died, haha you died, for you actually died in the game, but really just haha you died mentally, or like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see. Yeah, basically I after the translation period I've reserved another 4 weeks for proofreading, and I'll think I'll get professional proofreaders for the most important languages like simplified Chinese, Russian, Portuguese, maybe French or something like that. And then for all of the other translators, that those 4 weeks can basically be used for proofreading as well. So that's completely fine.
Hmm.
There should be some time for that, I hope. Yeah. Good point.
And also this is a bit of revision for me of revising how good I am at Maltese.
So where are you from? Are you?
I'm native Maltese.
Okay, I see. But you don't live there anymore, or why are you worried
Um,
about your Maltese skills?
no, I live in Maltese, but I'm a bit bad at Maltese, because like in my school, like half of this, like the only time we speak in Maltese is during Maltese lessons, and then just half of the time we speak in English. And also, it's normal for when we receive back our writing assessments, everyone gets a 0 in grammar, because we always have a mistake here or there.
Oh. Okay. So
For the yes.
so you're all very good at English basically, but not at
Mhm.
Maltese.
And also, Maltese isn't the only language I know other than English. I'm learning 5 languages: English, Maltese, Spanish at school, and then using Duolingo, I'm learning German and French.
Respect. Yeah, I mean languages are a very useful skill to have, so
Hmm.
can
Like
come
I
can come in
and
handy, yeah.
like I enjoy flexing that I know how to say man in 5 languages. In 5. And also, it's pretty funny that man in French really sounds like mother in Maltese. So, like, if there's a French person and a Maltese person next to each other talking, one is speaking in French and the other speaking in Maltese, they might get like mixed, mixed um messages. Like, is he saying man or mother? So, for the next question is, do you still like have inspiration for the game?
Do you still have inspiration for the game? You mean new ideas I want to put in, or?
Yes, new ideas.
Yeah. I have ideas, but the problem is I have to call it quits at some point. So I put in one new idea yesterday that I can't spoil here, but as a playtester, you'll see it very soon. But basically, I personally have the deadline to stop adding new content this week. Like this week, I definitely have to finish things up, because then translators still need some time, then proofreaders need some time, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
etc. So yeah, I have ideas, but I'll just simply have to call it quits, or otherwise the game will never be finished.
And then the year 30 million, we finally got the release date of Will You Snail. 50 million. Just he's going to work with that. And then when they open it up, 10 million levels. How am I going to beat this?
10 terabytes download. Yeah.
It takes you like 10 million years to install the game. 10 million years, another 10 million years just to launch the game. Then it takes you 20 million to get beat the whole game. Then another 10 million years just to get like beating the whole game in easy difficulty.
Have you heard about the game that actually takes you 100 days to finish? I've seen it on Steam a couple of times, but I forgot how it's called. But it's seems to be a 2D adventure game where time runs in real time, and it literally takes 100 days to finish or to get to the end. So
So you can beat it like 3.5 times per year.
yeah, I guess, yeah. You can do that.
And now it was going to be the section where you ask me questions,
Yeah,
but
I have questions. I have questions.
if you want, you can ask some other questions.
Well, I definitely have questions, and one thing I'd be very interested in, as somebody who's currently learning game development, what do you think are the most difficult things to learn, and what are you personally struggling with the most at the moment?
Like for like me, like I get scared at hearing a lot of stuff, but then once I just do research, like I see how easy they are. Like before 2 days ago, I was like saying making an online multiplayer game is going to be so hard. Then Blackthorn Prod releases how to make an online multiplayer in 9 steps. I was like, wow. And you get everything for more than one time and free. Yeah, like for my Father's Day game, I'm going to splitting it in two. A game where you have like 2 minutes or five, you're battling, and the person with the most points wins. And they're like archers, melee, and they're like special attacks. Then for the second part, it's going to be a private online multiplayer, so like he can play, so my father can play it with his friends, like that.
Cool. Sounds like very cool projects, and it also sounds to me like you, because you're already making so many different games, that you're managing to keep them small enough so you're actually finishing them. So is that correct? Are you more or less finishing your games, or?
For now, I'm still working on the models. I'm quickly going to go a bit, and I'm soon going to come
Alrighty.
back. Okay.
Okie dokie.
You can shoot more questions.
Okay, let me think. Where did we leave off? So you're making to come back to the first question I asked, would you say the most challenging thing for you about learning game development is kind of that intimidation factor that a lot of things in game development have, like that everything looks very complicated and intimidating on the surface?
Like before I started what game development, like I used to like I w- I used to watch Danny. He was making the Stickman game, and I wanted for one of my games to be a physics game, but like I got so like couldn't know what was going to happen with me needing to code all the physics and stuff. So I just started watching the Rocky's tutorial. First thing he does, he puts a rigid body, learns physics is already made for you in Unity. and I literally, when I found that out, I literally went out telling my family, physics is already made in Unity.
Yeah, that's really cool in modern game engines. You don't have to write everything from scratch. Yeah, Danny makes look things very easy in
Very
his
hard.
videos. Yeah, but there's a lot behind it, I'm sure. Yeah.
Like half of his videos, we're just gonna take that Control C, Control V. He's
Yeah,
just doing that.
that's mostly for the gags in the videos. I imagine that in reality it's a little more complicated than that, because even if you copy something, you still need to understand it to properly use it and implement it into your project.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then there's the other type of copy and paste, the one that I use, where you just have one script that you really use, so just copy and paste it into every single. Like I have my player controller. It's like half of them are just the same script. But for my Father's Day game, I'm making a new script using the input system, because how it's going to be one co-op and the other online. I need a key binding system, so someone can have like player one can have the controller, player two has the keyboard, like something like that.
Most people in Unity use a plugin called Rewired for all of that input and rebinding stuff, because that already comes with a prefab you can just drag into your scene, and then you basically have rebindable inputs.
I saw that once on a video, and it looks like it's good.
Yeah. At the very least, at the moment, it's still a very good solution. I think Unity is working on some stuff as well. They have a new input system as well, I think.
It's a plugin. I'm using that for my
Yeah.
for my character controller, and I'm using that because I had found a tutorial, a quick one, on how to make a rebinding system, and it uses the input manager. And the one that I asked to make the co-op game, they told me make get the input system and just make one system, and make like player one have the player one controls, and you can change them
Yeah, and the best.
anymore. Mhm.
No, I think that's it for my questions for now.
And like continuing with that question, now somehow from me saying coding is hard, I'm learning. I'm working on a website for my big project. I'm working on the big project, the Father's Day project, and somehow in our school we have these boards, and they have the internet, and when we have free lessons they let us choose videos to watch, and when it was my turn, I chose one of your videos of making Will You Snail,
Okay.
and you actually made someone want to learn programming, except he made the first worst decision. Without knowing anything, he challenged me and another person that are learning game programming on a challenge. And for some reason, the first thing I did was adding high definition rendering pipeline and post processing. Just stuff that you add like around at the end. I just add them in the in the front. Like we're going to have these.
I think choosing high definition render pipeline at the beginning is not that bad of a decision because the
Uh,
workflow is a little different. I'm not sure if switching later on is that easy in Unity.
it is easy, but the only problem is if you have a bunch of materials, they're going to all become pink. Because
Yeah.
when I was working with Yan, I added the universal render pipeline to make some flowers like they're like moving, and exactly like that. I just told him like everything just turned pink, and then and then I looked everywhere. I started doing a bunch of research, and then I just found out that
Yeah.
it was part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's
And then I
exactly
had to
your.
change all the
Mm.
materials to the universal render pipeline materials.
That's why it's a little more chill to just select the render pipeline at the beginning and then stick with it if you can.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cool.
Um,
Do you have
that's
any more questions, or I guess we also had some other things you wanted me to record, right? We can do that as well.
uh, yes. On the feedback on the games, you want I send you my game and you send me your game?
I mean, you've already given me some feedback on Will You Snail, so feel free to send me one of your games and I'll check it out real quick.
Okay, I'm going to send you quickly this. Exit full screen. No. Oh no. Oh, here. And if you want, also you can make a share screen.
Yep. You'll see it in a sec
Okay.
anyway, because I'm using OBS as a webcam for how's it called? Discord.
Mhm.
So if we do
I'm
this,
also using Unity. I'm also using OBS for recording, and I have just some parts to remove.
yeah, OBS is the go-to solution. It's very awesome that there are so many great free programs out there nowadays.
Mhm.
Like especially for Blender, it blows my mind every time when I find out how many crazy features it has. Okay. I don't want to make myself too big. Maybe like this.
That's good.
Okay. Okay, you have your YouTube linked here and your other games. That's fine.
Mhm.
And I would say that's something I usually don't recommend, starting the game with a wall of text like that. That can be a little intimidating, but let's see what it says. Dear Steve, you are now dead, but we will let you live once. I'm so bad at reading. I think I should probably read it silently. That will be less embarrassing. Okay, so my friends have become monsters, and I have to defeat them to free their soul, or something like that. Is what I'm maybe taking from this. So this is maybe a letter from Sarah, and it's written in this blocky font. So I'm guessing from the font that maybe this was an email or something like that. Ooh, we have an animated dog. I love the crazy eyes. That's nice. By the way, I'm also recording sound. Not sure if you
Okay.
Okay, I'm not sure how I got here. Remember this code. No, how am I supposed to remember that? I write it down.
I think like if I play it again, I'll still remember the code. Cause like
It's too hard to remember.
once you play it over and over and over, like, to test out the going back to the level select screen works and stuff. No, and also you that
what
is
do I-
one of your real friends. You have to click the code for it to make that appear.
Okay. Okay, now I have to enter the code. 9406371
825.
Woo! I did it. Okay, so it's a series of mini games, basically, almost. Find all puzzles. I find all of the puzzles. But I've already been here, so maybe I need to remember where I've already been. Ah, cool, and then I get little awards for the games I've beaten down here, right? I love the player character, it's so funny. A puzzle! Yeah, octopus, right? No, that was not correct. Let's try again. Maybe a rat? No.
Before you click cat, because it is, I have just one, because it has the 9 lines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, now I get it as well.
And also there's before you go to heaven, there's a glitchy object on the right corner for the story if you want to see it.
This right here. How does Tom know all of that? And what does he mean I died? Am I dead?
Because like the story behind it on the web, on the itch page, it explains a bit the story that like you died because you had a disease in your heart that was putting ink into your heart. It was putting ink into your heart, and it was putting cursed ink into your heart, and your friends could save you. So so with the redemption, so